Hey guys, Ryan Dossey here, and in today's video, I'm gonna walk you through how we made $17,000 wholesaling just one house. Let's dive right in. In today's video, I'm gonna walk you guys through all of the ins and outs on this particular property that we got off market from a direct mail campaign and wholesaled to another investor. I'm gonna walk you through what list they were on, how many times we mailed to the seller, even some of our internal notes on this particular deal, what we thought we could wholesale it for, and what we ended up actually selling it for. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So this particular deal originally called in to the staff at Call Porter. They took the call, got detailed notes from the seller, and entered everything into the CRM for us back on April 25th of 2022, so a couple months back. Now, they were able to book an appointment with that seller on that initial call, so we weren't playing chase. Our rule of thumb, if they have equity and they want to sell, we'll go meet with them, regardless of asking price or anything like that. They came off of a mailing list, and I only pull equity lists, so we know they could afford to sell to us if we're able to get them closed. So on this particular one, we went out and looked at the property. It was a really cool house, just needed a pretty fat rehab. So here's our internal notes here in Resimpli. Noah Gilliam is my business partner and kind of manages our team in Indianapolis on the ground. If you're not aware, I live in Florida. So all of these deals that I talk about, I've never even seen them. Pretty cool if you ask me as far as running a business goes. So on this particular one, awesome house is what Noah said, just needs a huge rehab to get it into the desired shape. Assume based off comps it'd be worth $225 to $250. A lot of cool houses in the area. Exterior needs a lot of help. Needs a new roof system, $10,000. Windows, $15K. Siding corrections, $2,000. Tree work, $3,000. Needs a lot of work on the interior as well. So $8,000 for flooring, another $8,000 for paint. Needs a new kitchen, as well as opening up some walls. You've got 10 grand, appliances, new bathroom, you get it. Laundry list here of stuff that would need to get done. So it'd be a $110,000 remodel. Now, just real talk. We seriously considered doing this one ourselves, but it was kind of outside of our typical geographical area that we operate in. In our experience, when we ask our guys to do us a favor and work out of town, they tend to charge more, tends to take longer. It just kind of ends up being a pain for everybody. So we decided on this one, given where we're at in the market, given that it's not convenient, and given that it is a six-figure remodel, we probably weren't the investors to take this particular one down. So on this one, you can see we use a 75% rule, which you can also see we go conservative. Earlier I mentioned we thought this might be worth $250 to $225. We went $225. I don't try to set records when I flip houses. I try to just move them, right? I'm not trying to sit on a house for 6 months to try to be the top comp in the neighborhood. I'm trying to get in and out onto the next project while providing something that's, solid, livable, safe, all that good stuff. So we're conservative, $225,000, assuming 75% has us at $168,000. You can see we also put a 10% roughly buffer of $10,000 in this as well. So minus that rehab budget of $110K, we figured we'd be able to wholesale the house to somebody for about $58,000. Therefore, if we wanted to wholesale it, the max we'd want to pay was going to be between $45,000 to $48,000. Now, you can see our initial offer was $49,000. Honestly, I have staff, and I don't know why they started out above our max. My guess is they didn't. I haven't actually pulled the call before shooting this video. My guess is they started there and kind of worked their way up, and that was just what they tagged it as in Resimpli. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they just threw out highest and best, because it happens sometimes with sales guys. Now, as you can see on this one, we actually ended up going under contract April, May, almost 2 full months later for $53,500. There's quite a bit of follow-up back and forth there. I'm not going to dive into all that. That wasn't my goal with today's video, but we worked this deal to get it across the finish line. We also kind of planned on doing it ourselves, which is why we exceeded that max allowable offer. Now, anytime we get a deal, we're shooting it out to our guys at 75% minus repairs, roughly. If they want to bid it up, if we have multiple people interested, I'm all for that. We've actually got a really solid reputation in town because we're known for sending out good deals with meat on the bone. I'm not flicking this place out at like, yeah, buy it from me for $90,000 or $100K where you're going to do all this work and make nothing. We're leaving a pretty substantial amount of meat on the bone on this thing. So this particular deal, we ended up selling it to a buyer for an assignment fee of $17,000. Pretty stout. My last year as a W-2 employee, I made like 23 grand pre-tax. So to make 17 grand on a single deal, I'm not mad about it. So that's kind of the ins and outs. That's it in our CRM. Let me show you this place because we've kind of talked about the condition on it quite a bit. Actually, pretty freaking sweet looking house, if you ask me. So this particular seller, we'd mailed 3 times. You can see we first reached out to them in November of 21. We then reached out to them again in February and again in June before we got this particular deal over the finish line. Now this one was on one of our local county niche lists. It's not something I'm going to show you how to pull because it's kind of one of those like CCF things we do, but effectively they were on a list for collections. They were behind on bills and they had equity. That was all they had going on. One kind of caveat I just want to throw out about list stacking while we're talking about it. I tend to use REISIFT for more like data management. In my experience, the places that are like stacked on like 15, 20 lists end up being like the worst of the worst. They tend to be those places that are like, it needs more in work than what it's worth. The county would be better off just to like bulldoze it into the center of the earth, right? In my experience with list stacking, my best deals are on like 1 or 2 lists tops. In fact, a lot of my best deals literally are just on an equity list. That's it. We did a mailing campaign that was 64,000 pieces from Ballpoint, strictly to newer, nicer vinyl village houses is what I call them. That's been going really well that we'll share some upcoming deals with you guys on shortly. So I just wanted to recap for you guys the tool stack that we used on how we made $17,000. We got a list from county. We also had a list of equity owners in our market. The person was on both. We sent that mail list over to Ballpoint Marketing. We ended up sending this person 3 of like the template or greeting card style mailers that we'll throw up on screen for you. So this wasn't like we mailed once and we got a result out of it. We hit this list multiple times. In fact, we'd actually hit it once, they'd called in, and we hit it a second time after we'd made our offer before they'd accepted it. Whether or not that like third touch there was what pushed them over the edge, maybe they were thinking about our offer and got the piece of mail, it's hard to say, but we ended up getting the deal from that. Every single piece of mail we send has our Carrot website on the bottom. That's for credibility and branding. People want to know who they're dealing with and they want to know that you are legit and not some, fly-by-night shyster, right? The next thing we do, every single piece of mail that we send, with the exception of large commercial assets, all of those calls are taken by a call porter and have been for years. Think about it. You get a piece of mail in the mail, you're interested, you call, and nobody answers. Kind of a turnoff, right? So they're there, they pick up the call. They're actually open 24/7 and 7 days a week at this point. One thing that's actually really cool that they do, if somebody calls in after hours or they miss the call somehow, they will actually call that person back for you 3 times. Most investors I know don't even work their own leads that hard. So we've got the list pulled, we've got it sent over to Ballpoint, Carrot site's on the bottom, call porter takes the call, all of the details go into Resimpli where we end up working and closing this particular deal. Now, when we go to sell a deal, like wholesale wise, I've got several trainings on how we kind of build that buyer's list, but we're just using MailChimp and GMass at this point to get that deal out in front of people. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch today's video. Again, my name was Ryan Dossey. In these videos, I try to give you like actionable stuff that you can do. The tools we use really don't change. The lists we use really don't change. We're just super consistent and try to operate with excellence in our business. My goal with these is you can kind of copy and paste what we did to get these results, to hopefully get some checks of your own. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys next time.